Showtime.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Rosie and Bill Show. Tonight our guest is a man whose music knows no boundaries. He has played with the best of the best. Please welcome to the Rosie and Bill Show, singer, songwriter, and musical virtuoso, Preston Smith. Preston, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, both of you. Thank you so much. Great to be here. How are you?
Oh, we're doing great. How you doing?
I'm doing.
Preston, right off the bat, the first question we want to ask, because we heard some rumors, okay? So we need you to clarify.
You heard some
Is it
things.
true that you are related to the king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley?
That's what my cousins told me. My dad died when I was like 1, a couple days before I turned 2, and my mom moved from Texas to Arizona. It's a long story, but lost track with a lot of that side of the family, but a family reunion, we kind of reconnected. And then later they found me on the internet and came out, and they came out to see me play, my cousins from Austin, and they're like, well, that's the Elvis in you, boy. What? I didn't know, because I was doing some Elvis songs as comic relief in my act a little bit, because when I was a little kid, what got me into Elvis was like, I thought he was super funny, because it was nostalgia and just, I knew he was really talented and all that, but and I later got into all his serious ballads and the quality of his voice and all that, but initially he was like just like a cartoon a little bit. I loved him. Rockadoodle.
Well, that would be interesting if that was traceable. That would be kind of a really...
Oh, getting back to that, Elvis's mother was from the same county as my grandfather, and she was a Smith. It was Gladys Love Smith, and she was related to her great uncle or whatever, was Robert Smith, and that was probably my great uncle or something. Through my uncle Preston, Sam, and these people.
Preston, in addition to this potential relationship with the king, you've had such an incredibly expansive and diverse musical career. And I wanted to just take a little bit of time and talk about some of the amazing performers and acts that you've shared the stage with. So who are among some of your favorites that you've played with over the years?
Bonnie Raitt was very gracious to me. I met her several times, and I warmed up for her, opened for her in San Diego, and she had me join her on stage for the second time. The first time was with NRBQ. I was opening up for NRBQ in San Juan Capistrano, and she really liked my solo act. And she insisted I come backstage, and we talked and played, and she had me come up with them. And then years later, I warmed up for her in San Diego for Sun Microsystems week-long thing that Santana played for too. Santana was part of that. It was really awesome. You know? And she had me come up on stage and do a duet with her and play some harmonic stuff.
Well, Bill was talking to me before the show, and he said, I want to hear the story about Eddie Van Halen.
Oh, that was in San Diego. Eddie Van Halen heard that I played a red guitar. No. I did have a red Kramer. It got lifted in New York City on Bleecker Street, sadly. Played the bitter end. But anyway, Eddie heard that we were playing down there. So he had a night off, and he came down to see us. And I was playing for about 400 people with my band it was a weekend. Warmed up for a lot of bands there, but I became a headliner at the Belly Up, Solano Beach, which is outside of San Diego. And club owner came up and said, Eddie Van Halen's here and he wants to jam, man. I'm like, yeah. So he got up and he played my red guitar. And it had the Floyd Rose dive Emmy system that he loved, and he played a Kramer. So I'll write it home on the guitar that he liked. And so I let him play that guitar, and then I played another Strat, I think. And then we just kind of like, and the crowd was kind of like, whoa, Eddie Van Halen, right? So we didn't want to do any Sinatra songs with him. So, so we did Oh Pretty Woman. We figured out what songs we could do and feature him and make him look good. And he goes, how about some blues, man? I'm like, you got it. Stormy Monday. And it was pretty fun.
They came to the right guy.
Nobody broke any strings. It was fun. Yeah.
Now, was this during, was this David Lee Roth Van Halen or Sammy Hagar Van Halen? Do you remember?
That's a good question. I think it was still David Lee Roth. Yeah.
Okay.
And some of the guys in my band, in my very first Crocodiles band, you know, they grew up in Pasadena, South Pasadena, and Van Halen had cut their teeth all over Pasadena and tons of backyard parties and the mythology behind them. Everybody had a Van Halen story, and there were two brothers just going to backyard parties everywhere they could and playing the Sunset Strip. So when they made it, when I first moved to Hollywood, they were like the Kings of Sunset, and I wasn't really into metal at all. And I thought that type of music was totally dying even when I lived in Arizona. It was like until Van Halen came. So it kind of gave it a boost again.
Preston, how about you played either with or opened for Jerry Lee Lewis? What was that like?
No, I was playing in a club, same kind of thing, except that was at the famous Palomino Club, who had Willie Nelson, Johnny Cash, Buck Owens. It had been the country concert bar in San Fernando Valley. Jerry Lee Lewis was a friend of the owner because he'd played with him back in the day. And the owner, same thing, came up and said, Jerry Lee Lewis is here and he wants to play with you guys. I'm like, oh, well, we don't have a piano. It's mic'd up. And he says, that's okay. But they had a grand piano on stage with no microphones. I'm like, whatever, cool. And we were all blazing through Fender amps and smashing the drums. Everything was mic'd. I'm not even sure they put I don't think they even had time to put a microphone on the piano. But he got up and the crowd went crazy. And we played for about 20 or 30 minutes in the key of G, running through all his songs were in the key of G. Goodness gracious, great balls of fire. And we had some pictures taken. And yeah, the crowd went nuts. It was really fun. For whatever reason, I'm wearing a plastic cowboy hat in some of those shots.
Preston, I want to ask you now, you have also had a lot of success as a songwriter, and you've kind of bridged the gap between, say, radio and performing live, and then into the film part of the business. Talk to us about your success in that arena.
I've done music for film and TV sporadically because I've been such an active live performer so long, and it's a pretty compartmentalized business. So I've had some big successes with that and some that are not so big. And I've done some little TV shows or little films and some big films. Desperate Housewives used my music from some stuff from that. But
you had a song placed in the movie Cocktail. That was pretty big.
Yeah, that was huge. That sold 9 million units worldwide, as far as I know. As far as they want to tell me about. Also, that was around the time with the Roseanne Cash had a hit with the song I placed, because Roseanne Cash and her husband, that's Johnny Cash's daughter, they were on the West Coast seeing their friend David Lindley and his band play, and those guys loosely play with Bonnie Raitt as well too. So they came out to see me at the Spirit in San Luis Obispo, and they really like, God, I gotta produce you. Her husband's Rodney Crowell from what's her name? Emmylou Harris's band, and he's a big songwriter in Nashville and has his own records. So her husband at the time was Rodney Crowell, and he wanted to produce me. So he flew me down to Nashville to play harmonica on his Diamonds and Dirt record, and I sang backgrounds with Vince Gill on a song. And unfortunately, my record company didn't want him to produce me because they thought it would make me look too country. Because I signed with Curb Capital, and at that time they were with, they didn't want the comparisons to Lyle Lovett, you know, or they wanted to break into more of a rock thing. So they didn't want a country producer. Rodney was very interesting though. He said, I'm just gonna let you do your thing. It's just, we just got to decide how you want to tune the snare drum. LA or Nashville, that's all.
Susie one came on so strong like an ancient melody. I surmised her almond eyes was the net that captured me. Don't set me free, Susie Wong. So Susie's father said that she should leave this white boy alone. Leave him alone. Stay with your own. But dear Susie clearly wrote a path that was our own. Far from home with Susie Wong.
We've got a lot more of those stories and a lot more that we want to talk with you about.
Okay.
But before we do, folks, it's time for 60 Seconds with Coach Lombardi. Take it away, Coach.
Thanks, Rosie and Bill. It's great to see Preston again, too. Hey, everyone, it's Coach Lombardi here in my backyard in Los Angeles. And I've got 4 holiday tips for you to get those pounds off before they ever even jump onto you. Here we go. Number 1, set the tone every day of your holiday by working out. Whether it's a weight training workout at home or a 5,000 step walk around your neighborhood, and then end the day with another 5,000 step walk after dinner. I promise you'll feel great. Number 2, make the days about socializing with the family by playing games. Some of our favorites are Jackbox TV, Heads Up, Gestures, or Gestures, I should say, because they can really get physical and you can't eat while you're playing. Number 3, when it's time to eat, start with protein because the brain will tell your stomach it's full a lot quicker than if you were to eat carbs like breads or crackers. So you'll be way less likely to overeat this way. Number 4, eat slowly and wait before grabbing seconds. I mean, it takes about 20 minutes for the brain to signal your stomach that it's full. These 2 steps alone can significantly decrease your food intake for the entire day. So try these out and let us know how you did. Rosie and Bill, I want to wish you both and all your amazing guests a fantastic holiday, and I'll see you in 2021. I'm Coach Lombardi for the Rosie and Bill Show. Back to you in Preston.
Thank you so much, Coach. We love your tips as always. And folks, we want to let you know to please take advantage of the expertise that Coach Lombardi brings to the show. She's so willing to answer all of your fitness and nutrition questions. So this is an amazing resource. Believe me, she's at the top of her game. So if you have any questions that you want help with, email us at rosieandbill2018@gmail.com.
Yes. And, you know, I'll just add one more thing, and then I've got a question I've got to follow up with Preston on. But what I really like about Coach's tips are you can actually execute them. You can put them into practice that moment. They're not these, you know, big grand things. They're real life things that you can put into play in changing your life right at that moment. So again, like Rosie said, take advantage of that resource. Any question is a good question. Now, Preston, I've got a question for you, speaking of questions, and I want to actually
I'm here.
a follow-up for you.
Okay.
Even though I'm from Philadelphia, I'm a country music fan.
Awesome.
So I want to hear more about Black and White, the song that you wrote for Roseanne Cash.
Actually, I wrote it just on my own and was performing it with my band. A lot of people like that song, and it was Al Jarreau used to come see us quite a lot, and he really wanted to record it, and for whatever it just didn't line up with his. Jay Graydon was producing him, and I was playing every Wednesday at a place called Josephina's, and he came out a lot, and he's like, "Hey, I gotta do that song," but Roseanne wanted to do it, and it was like such an honor, and they did They put a string quartet on it. I think Tony Brown produced it and had the, they did a great job with it, and it was an honor. When her husband wanted to produce me, I went down there and I stayed at their house out in, I think, Henderson, near Nashville, about 4 or 5 days, something like that. And over coffee in the morning, we'd play each other every Hank Williams song we could. We were having Hank Williams contests. How about this one? Today I passed you on the street and my heart fell at your feet. You know, that kind of stuff. I can't help it if I'm still in love with you. Anyway, so I sang them that song. They're like, whoa, Roseanne's got to do that because she was pregnant with, I think, the child. And she recorded it. She needed a single. She didn't want to do a whole album because she was, I think, in her 7th month. And she needed a new single for her greatest hits album. So it was released as a single. And by the time, then I went back to LA, had that going. I did the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson with my band around that time for the Cocktail song. The record was coming out. I was working on that. And when I was done with it, they delayed the release of my record, and I had a lot of let's say, political issues. I don't like to talk politics, but with the record company, long story. But moved to New York, and Roseanne's record was on the charts, and it was so funny for me at that point because I was like living in the home of Sinatra and Billie Holiday, and where jazz really began. New York was starting to play uptown and in the Village quite a lot. And in my heart, I was like going through this resurgence of jazz and 30s and Peggy Lee and deep diving into this music, even though I had just put out like a pop soul Terrence Trent Gabriel funk record, right? So I started playing around the city, and I would hear Black and White driving home from New York on the radio. And it just freaked me out because I just didn't know New York City would get country because it's such a big place. And I found out, no, it's the biggest country music radio station in the world is in New York City. Displaced people south or that like country that live there. So I had to wrap my mind around that a little bit, even though I was going through such a jazz thing, because I didn't really follow country at that point.
That's interesting that you say that, Preston, because, well, first of all, country music fans are very loyal, and they are all over the country. No matter where you live, there's going to be a country station or a bunch of country stations. Yeah. And the thing about you is that your musical repertoire is so incredibly diverse. Now, you brought up about the funk and the jazz, and then you had your hand in country. The Cocktail song, correct me if I'm wrong, was a reggae song, wasn't it?
It's more than reggae. It's more Jamaican. It's more calypso. So as a beat, reggae is and mine was like ding 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 ding. It's more like salsa driven calypso. It's a soca is what it's called. Okay. So it's an earlier, because I've studied a lot of Caribbean music, and I play congas, and I got timbales, and I do all that on stage, and noisemakers, and a lot of island music's always been flowing through my veins. I probably would have never been a singer or a musician if it hadn't been for Harry Belafonte records in my house when I was a little kid. Because as I liked rock, what I heard on the radio, Stones, classic rock, whatever was in those times. When I put on those Harry Belafonte records, there was so many multi-rhythms going on. And it peppered my music the rest of my life, because and that's when I do my solo gigs, I can do swung feel while I'm strumming, be doing straight notes, and then I hold maracas, and I'm doing a swung with the straight. So that's where New Orleans music comes from, swung and straight. That's the birth of rock and roll, really.
Wow. So, well, I've seen you perform, and I've seen you do, you got the guitar going, you've got the harmonica strapped around your head, and then you've got the percussive instruments in between your fingers. You got something on your boots, so you're hitting the guitar case to make your your drum beat.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
That's Ray Charles' microphone in my guitar case. My buddy ran some sound for him, and I sang on that mic until it just totally fell apart.
well,
But it still works, so it goes in my guitar case.
well, but Preston, then when you play with the band, I've seen you walk behind the bass player and start playing the bass, for him for fun, and then go and sit down in for the drummer. How did you get to be so talented with all these different instruments?
I just loved it, and I've always been able to listen to. I just listen to like music like it's the birds and the levels. It's like if I go camping or something, I can hear different species of birds on different heights of trees where they like to clump together in groups. And I noticed when I was a teenager, I could go into a crowded restaurant. It was kind of echoey, and it just sounds like chatter, right? And if I just sat with it for a second, I could like start hearing every conversation in the room separately,
Wow.
which maybe I shouldn't have heard a lot of those conversations.
But you can tune in.
But yeah, I could just tune in, get rid of all the echo, and go, okay, I'm used to there. And I think it's really helped me because like when I'm on stage with the band, I know like if a bass player drops a note and hits a minor third instead of a major third, I know right away. I know when a drummer's pushing or pulling back, and I know who's like forgetting the arrangement or.
So, Preston, I wanted to just jump in and ask you a question here, because as Rosie was describing seeing you play and doing all these things and all the different instruments that you play, I want to go back to your songwriting. So when you're writing a song, do you do it with your guitar? Do you have any particular process, in place, or does it just come from a variety of different ways?
I mostly write on guitar. I've written some stuff on piano. I've written some things on drums, just the groove. I've written a few songs that really became good songs on a harmonica, but 99% is the guitar, because it's like fast. You throw it in your car, you can go. I mean, it's immediate, And I know the guitar so well. I've learned so many. I know about 600 cover songs, jazz songs, and I can play Sinatra for about 5 hours straight, or Hendrix for hours straight, ZZ Top or Mose Allison. I could go on and on. But Hank Williams and songwriting, simplicity of a lyric is what drives me more. Like, all these notes mean nothing without a great songwriter. We need stories. And I think Rosie was saying about country music fans and stuff, it's about the story. Then people resonate with stories, and you can only hit them over the head with how good you can do this or that. And it, I mean, like Stevie Wonder said, he's the musician of the musician of the musician. He can do Mozart, jazz, but what resonates, and he's the greatest singer, harmonica player, all this, but such a wonderful songwriter. So I like the vision and the simplicity of country and blues, a whole bunch. But I listen to a lot of, I love soul, doo-wop, retro, funk, Beatles. I've probably 50 Beatles songs that I've in my repertoire.
Sounds like you love music, period.
I just love it. Yeah, I like the story of it. Yeah,
It's like breathing for you.
Yeah, and it's like there's so many opposing forces in the world today, and that music is one thing. It's like food, it's like we all need it. We don't know where it comes from. Well, we kind of do, but it means different things to different people. But music just brings people together of all walks of life.
I have to say, I think we've covered every musical genre there is just about so far in our conversation, but there's one kind of music we haven't talked about yet, but I would like you to tell us about it because it's the holiday season.
Oh yeah,
and
Christmas.
I believe there might be a particular CD of yours that might be a great fit for this particular time of year.
Absolutely. It's called Christmas Blues and Other Standards. Christmas Blues is a song I wrote, so I use that as the title. It's on Amazon.com. Just write in Preston Smith. There's a hard CD on there for like $900. You don't have to buy that one. Just buy for the songs. Collector's item. Like, who's selling that? Anyway, and then I have another CD on there, some other stuff. We covered everything except my sitar. But I don't Bill.
Yeah. I was actually thinking of talking to you about that when we talked about all the diversity. So you do play the sitar.
It's an electric sitar, and I mix it with, it's kind of a mixed in with Jimi Hendrix blues and sitar and tribal drums, and I got the timbales and gongs, and we do blendings to make people like, so their head twists like, what? Fun. Motown used sitar quite a lot. Motown and the Beatles used sitar, so it's not a totally unfamiliar sound. But it's a beautiful sound. I love it.
Well, you are definitely a student of music. I mean, you're always learning. I lived out in California. That's where Preston and I met. And he was always studying and learning and growing. Like, you know, we had a guest on the show that met Frank Sinatra, and Frank told him, never stop learning. If you stop learning, you're dead, you know. And that's you, Preston. You're always figuring something new out. You're open to inspiration and learning, just, you know, to be an expert in your field, and you are. So we thank you so much. And we're going to end the show tonight with a clip of you playing, and we hope that everyone enjoys it. And again, Preston, thank you so much.
Thank you both. Thank you so much, Rosie and Bill. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much. Have a blessful day and a wonderful holiday. And get my Christmas Blues and Other Standards on Amazon.
Yeah.
I should point out, too, I have a PayPal account, and you can get the hard CDs mailed direct at Preston Smith Music at Gmail. That's Preston Smith Music at Gmail. That's my PayPal. And that's also, it's $15 for a regular CD. And I have a lot of different other CDs. I have Blue Skies for a Rainy Day, which is a double jazz CD. I have a bluesy, funky rock kind of thing called That Real Feel. I have another jazz one called A Night Blooming Jazz Man. And anyway, I could go on. And the cocktail thing is up there too. You can get that on Amazon as well.
Well, I have to say, Preston, I think that what you just laid out for our viewers is a lot of great potential stocking stuffers for Christmas gifts this year. So thanks for the suggestions.
Thank you so much, Bill. Thank you. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you.
It really has. So thank you again so much, Preston. And folks, for everyone watching, we appreciate you tuning in. And remember, if you haven't had a chance to do so yet, like our Facebook page. And if you've liked it, don't be afraid to invite your friends to do it too. They'll be glad you did, because they'll get to see people like Preston Smith week in and week out right here on the Rosie and Bill Show. So here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, Preston Smith.
Day when we parted, day when we met. No matter how it started, baby, it ain't over yet. I got the blues, baby. Woo! Yes, I got the blues, baby. I ain't walking, talking, shit. Big bunch of blues. Don't matter how it started, baby, it ain't over yet. I got the blues, baby. Yes, I got the blues, baby. I'm the walking, talking situation. A great big baby bunch of blues. Something, baby, you better explain how the blues tumble down like buckets of rain. A 1, 2, 3, something on, yeah. I don't understand. It's how the blues walk around and walk like a man. Yes, I am. Ooh, no. Hey, baby, I am. Yeah. Walking, talking, sister. Great big baby, bunch of blues. Yeah, baby. fall down like buckets of rain. Hanging on, baby, my little hope. Wind up, swing up my mind. Oh, 1, 2, 3. I do not even understand the song of the blues so down. Walk like a man I am. Yeah, yeah, baby. Yes, I am. Yeah, baby. Walking down the street, baby, baby, my temple. The 6 foot. Oh, baby. I said, I'm a walking, talking 6 foot. Great big bunch of blues, baby. Yeah.